The change of the French guard has happened. The Get Squad are out. Solari are most definitely in. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Rival Series B stream, right here on the Rival Esports channel. Jarv Jam still with Rathman and our league. And boy, oh boy, we saw Baguette's squad lose battle in the midfield. We saw them getting deleted off the face of the earth in front of their own goal, and they were just not hitting even the broad side of the barn in the attack. Is there really anything that they can take out from this game, or should we all just forget this ever happened and move on forward?
Yeah, I would say they just need to wipe that from their memories. I mean, like we've been saying, it is pretty much, I think it is mathematically guaranteed that they're getting relegated now and they're going to be out of the rival series. But yeah, that is just such a poor performance. We know, like me and Arlie were talking, excuse me, we know they can play better than that. The skill on that team is there. They just need to put it into practice, but for now it is unfortunately au revoir.
Not looking great. Speaking of maths, Solari actually were one goal away from tying the record for the most goals in a game set in RLCS and Rival Series. Previous record was set in Season 4 of North American Rival Series by the team of Zol Chicago and Sato. They were playing as Fibian Esports, and they've scored 12 goals against Team Incognito. But that's for North America. For the Europe, that is the most amount of goals that any of the team has scored. So congratulations to Solari. They have set, at the very least, the European record. Well, let's quickly go to the second game, as we have Team Vertex versus Notorious Legion Esports. Again, there's still many things that can change. Team Vertex can tie with Notorious Legions in their standing. Our league, who do you think is going to take it? How do you see this one going?
This is a must-win match for both teams, I feel. After RJM took out Triple Trouble just yesterday, that put huge amounts of pressure on Notorious Legion, especially as they lost a 2-game lead to RCD Espanyol in a reverse sweep. They were hoping that RJM would fall back into the relegation scrap and they would be basically confirmed safe as early as next week. That's not going to be the case anymore. Vertex, they're of course in the relegation zone already. They need to win to drag Notorious Legion back into that scrap. As to who's going to win, you'd have to say that despite losing last week in quite spectacular fashion, Notorious Legion are still the favourites by miles. But everything falls down to Cash, and I do quite literally mean that. He is... where's the thing? So he's 5th highest in goals per game, top 10 in assists per game, top 10 in saves per game, and top 10 in shots per game. Oh, and by the way, he's ahead of every other Notorious Legion member across the board in stats. It's no wonder he tries too hard sometimes, because although his teammates are doing good, there is a lot more that they could be doing to utilize such a good player. I think that he is absolutely one of the brightest prospects for the future. It would not surprise me personally to see an RLCS team maybe taking a punt on him next season. Either way, while this squad is together, their main focus is they have to survive. I had them down as 5th or 6th preseason, and they simply have to win against Team Vertex now to make sure that they go up to 4-3 and create a 2-win buffer/barrier to the first person or the first team back in the relegation zone, which as it stands is Triple Trouble on 2 and 3.
That's a big team to go up against when Craftman, our league. Let's see how this one goes, whether Notorious Legion is going to take and continue their dominating performance in the season, or whether Team Vertex are going to live up to their name of, well, if not giant killers, at the very least, making giants very nervous. Take it away.
So the Legion up against Vertex. Now, Crafters, I would say on the side of Team Vertex, Dumain has really stepped up recently. He's got 0.8 assists per game. That lands him inside the top 5. He's top 5 for saves per game as well. But quite ironically enough, for Team Vertex, as we've known them over the last couple of seasons at least, their issue has been the amount of shots that they failed to put on net. And so more often than not, they'll be taking a load of hot shots from midfield, which never really threaten. And a lot of that is down to a tendency to fall back a little bit, particularly through Nagflow, who wants to get a little bit more defensive. Up against Notorious Legion, that's possibly the worst thing to do, is it not?
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Definitely. And again, because of this long ball style that they've had to be playing, booming from their own half, that does put their entire team at second in the league for saves per game, only second to We Dem Girls. They're sitting at 5.56 saves per game. That's a hell of a lot of defense that they've had to play, and it really shows in their shot count as well. There's a good, nice little save by Domain as Vertex once again try to play the defense. Matane try to squeeze it in, but it'll just bounce off. But the Notorious Legion offense still pressuring fairly heavily here at start game 1.
To note, Cash has changed over to the Dominus. He's usually a Fennec main, and there was already a double commit in offense there, but you see Nagflo just getting a car underneath him there, basically stopping his progress entirely. Still a 0-goal game as the first minute comes and goes. And the ball going up high. Oh, great little touch there from Kokar, and a miss in the defense from Cash. It's left to Tars, who at least gets the challenge in and allows Cash to start from the midfield past Kokar. He's going to continue this drive. Nice touch, but it's not going to get it past Nagflo. On target from Mitane. Oh, no, it wasn't. It top beans, but not able to sneak it in under the crossbar. And away go Team Vertex. Lucky boys.
They are very lucky to get away with murder right there, but Notorious Legion, so much pressure. And you just feel that Team Vertex, the amount of defense that they've been having to play all season long, might just be taking its toll, but they might have a good chance here. Taz will clear that one out to Matane. But again, Vertex is just a long ball Rocket League, boom it into the other half and hope that they make a mistake.
If Route 1 is the way that you're going to survive, then you take it. But sadly for Vertex, that's basically been the type of Rocket League that they've been playing all season. Their 2 wins so far in league play have been up against the 2 teams that are below them, being Servette Geneva and the recently auto-relegated Baguette squad. Whereas on the side of Notorious Legion, they have only lost to teams currently sitting in the promotion spot. So first, second and third, Solari, RCD, Espanyol, and of course Team BDS, not in that order. But still, the point stands. They've only lost against the Teams Crafters, which have been promotion-worthy candidates.
Yeah, and the 3 teams that they still have to play, including against Vertex here, are 3 teams who are below them in the standings. Obviously, Vertex, Triple Trouble, and Servette Geneva. So, don't want to call it 3 easy wins just yet, because they are having trouble putting the ball in the net, but not this time. Matane will get one on the board.
And as he always is, Cash involved. Nagflo just missed that touch, and Domain was too slow to get readjusted. Nagflo actually had a second bite of the cherry and missed the save. So just shy of 2 minutes left on the clock now, and finally the breakthrough for Notorious Legion. And you have to say, on the basis of how play's gone so far, it's not going to be long until a second. Tars follows up.
Yeah, very quick to get that one on the board as well. Just a poor touch off the wall from Nagflo. And the kickoff goal, no one really prepared for on Vertex. Everyone expecting to try and push that battle upfield. And it feels like Vertex, they know they've been playing out of their half too much in this game number 1. And they want to move the battle into the midfield, but Notorious Legion are just going to make that very difficult for them as the barrage of shots just keep coming onto their net. Matane getting his 4th shot of the game so far.
Nice touch there, finally from Nagflo, who's committed to a couple of mistakes. A lovely touch there from Kokar off the post. Fine margins from getting a goal back there, as Domain's shot is saved by Cash, and a lovely follow-up touch as well. Kokar misses completely off the wall, and then comes Tars round the corner. Through comes Mitane, and Domain with another big save.
But they need to start their offensive flip a little bit quicker than that. Vertex, they had 2 players on the retreat from Notorious Legion and an open net to shoot on, but just not being quick enough on the counter. But their defense is stepping up. Keeping in this game, and Cash with an amazing double touch to put it out of reach.
When you go to the bank, you want cash, and when you get cash, you've got money. 3-0 Notorious Legion, and that is goal 23 for Cash of the season.
Cash taking all his money to the bank and banking in on his skill. Now with a minute left, it's all on Vertex to see if they can try and salvage something from this. It's not going to be easy because Notorious Legion have just been playing so perfectly and not been giving them any chances upfield. And once again, the Vertex find themselves stuck in their own half here as Matane takes it from the midfield.
Nice flick infield again from Mitane. Kokar. Again, Tars with a great little nick on it, and Cash on target. off the crossbar from Dumaine. When you're in midair, you're not going to save that one though. 4-0, and Notorious Legion are flowing, brimming with confidence. It's beautiful to see.
They are indeed, and just the amount of pressure that you've seen them coming on. I mean, Metane's had 7 shots alone, ladies and gentlemen. 13 on the side of Notorious Legion. Only 3, 1 per player on Vertex. Dumaine with 1, Nagflow with 1, Coca with 1. Just shows you how trapped in their own half they have been. Coca with a second, in fact.
Oh my word!
Not make anything happen. Dumaine try to squeeze one in the last 10 seconds, but either way, it's not going to make a difference here in game 1.
All dangerous there. Can they get a goal back? Oh my word! Nagflow in the worst place, and away the ball goes. That is the end of game 1, and that is as complete a performance from Notorious Legion as you will see. 4-0, no hat tricks, wonderful distribution across all 3 players. Excellent, excellent. Chef's kiss. Team Vertex have a lot of work to do.
C'est bien. I don't know if
C'est bien.
C'est bien is better than baguette.
Oh, très bien.
Yeah, très bien. Notorious Legion, fantastic work from them. And I was watching their game against RCD yesterday, and that big reverse sweep that RCD managed to pull out the bag against them. And I think a lot of people were maybe thinking, oh, was Notorious Legion not as good as we thought because of the run that they've had in the European Invitational, and because of that hot streak that they've been on. Running into the buzzsaw of RCD may have put the dampeners on people jumping on the NLE bandwagon. But for me, that result yesterday doesn't really reflect on the season that they've been having, and really doesn't reflect well on the skill that they are still putting on display. I am not worried about Notorious Legion, and neither are the chat by the looks of things. 70% for Notorious Legion of you guys in chat. Exclamation mark NLE, exclamation mark, I think it's, is it Vert?
Ver.
It is. Ver. The 3-letter version of Vertex. If you want to weigh in on the options down there below our faces. But yeah, I'm not worried about Notorious Legion, and that game 1 really confirmed that they're still one of the best teams in this rival series.
We go again with 5 minutes on the clock for game 2. As I said, a lot of work for Team Vertex to do to try and come back from that ferocity of play from Notorious Legion. I don't think there is a better word for it, because it was absolutely relentlessly offensive pressure, and well deserving of their win. Although Dumaine with a quick win in the midfield, doesn't get the second touch, but Nagflow keeps it alive. In comes Kokar, and again, Notorious Legion have obviously employed the help of the post, because that is the 3rd time I think that Team Vertex have hit the woodwork.
I think so, but when Vertex are getting chances like that, wide open chances, they cannot give it to the 4th member of Notorious Legion, that being the crossbar and the posts. You've got to score goals, because the chances that Notorious Legion are going to give you are going to be few and far between. And once again, keeping it deep in blue territory, and Metane will put one in exactly a minute off the board.
It's the same combination which found the breakthrough in game number 1, and Dumaine, I think, was more worried about his car from the threat of Cash coming in to demo him than actually just trying to, be bold and make the save. Exactly a minute gone. 1-0 to Notorious Legion in the driving seat. As Cash now looking for the flip reset. Almost going for the pinch off the floor. And very close to scoring goal number 2 within 10 seconds of kickoff. Now Nagflow on the counter-attack. Cash is there, nice and calm, but Tars with an unfortunate back pass there. Not much that he could do about that, as Dumaine, unfortunately, has a little bit too much stank on that backball pass, and away we go then. Tars downfield. And Kokar's going to pick this one up as they start from square 1 again.
They do. They are getting a few more chances here in game number 2 here in Urban Central. But Vertex still not able to come away with any points, and Cash just going over the top there. Every time Notorious Legion get the ball, they just try and keep away. Vertex, like we said, this long ball style is not working for them, and trapped in their own back line again. The net empties, and Taz gets a second.
Padding stats with all these assists, and that was just a plain as you see it, whiff slash miss slash trying to save the car situation from Coca as you're ever going to see. That 2-0 once again to Notorious Legion. Team Vertex yet to score a goal in this series. Kokar goes midfield. Dumain, nice fake around Cash. Gets around Mitane as well, but once again, hitting the brick wall on the side of Notorious Legion. That's another big old whiff coming in from Nagflow, and Dumain forced into retreat as Tars puts pressure on, but doesn't necessarily get a touch. Tars now on the retreat, actually getting Kokar out of the play entirely. Cash.
Oh, Cash!
Oh my
goodness!
word.
Oh, Cash is... Oh my god! Cash is spending all his money at the bank right now and tees up Taz for that one, bringing out Domain. My oh my, the defense for Vertex is breaking down because Notorious Legion are just pulling everything out of the playbook, and Vertex, they obviously can't be prepared for everything, but Notorious Legion are showing all their cards right now.
It was like a good fireworks display almost. Everyone was just, you know, ooh, ah. But unfortunately, you're supposed to be looking at the ball, not the fireworks. And fireworks are plenty now as Notorious Legion have equaled their Game 1 scoreline. Bad news, there's still half the game left to go.
Oh boy. Oh, don't tell me this is turning into the last game. Don't tell me this is coming into Solari Big X Squad again. I can't go through that. But yeah, Vertex, I think, for me, the thing that's letting them down is their decision making, and there's another big mistake. Coca and Nagflow going for a double commit. They do get possession out of it, or at least territory, but Notorious Legion just going to pick this one back up. But the decision making mistakes for me that they're going wrong with is when they're getting possession in their own half, they're just booming it back downfield, no matter the position of Notorious Legion. Sometimes they just need to take a touch, go for a dribble, slow play it upfield, rather than try and go for the big long clears, because Notorious Legion are just going to intercept them in the middle of the field.
And you know what? I'm going to give massive credit here to both Mitane and Tars. I was basically saying, hey, you know, you look at Notorious Legion, and if Cash isn't performing, then the team falls apart, which, I mean, you look at the stats going into Crafters. He really does top everything when you look at it in the context of just him and his teammates. But fair play to Mitane and Tars, they've been getting so involved in the goals themselves as well. They have been utilising Cash as I was hoping they were seeing. I know this might not seem like it to everyone, you know, watching for maybe the first time. This might look like, oh, you know, Vertex, they're looking as bad as Baguette Squad, but this is Notorious Legion just playing very, very well. I would argue that this is possibly as good a team performance as we've seen from them all season long.
Rotations are working well. They're able to pass the ball to each other in stunning fashion. That's just confusing the hell out of Vertex. And they just don't have an answer right now, I relate. Vertex can just not get this ball out of the hands of Notorious Legion.
What a save.
A clear-cut opportunity as you're going to get. And who is there to save it? It is Cash once again.
30 seconds to find a goal. Anything for Vertex. Still no goals for them in 9 minutes or so of Rocket League. And again, another save from Tars. He was literally stationary in net, and Nagflow just shot it straight at him. Again, that was heading for the crossbar, but Cash away with a great clearance. Dumain wins that 50-50, but Nagflow doesn't win the follow-up, and Cash looking for the cherry on top. Not going to come through him, maybe through Tars, no. Kokar with the save, and Nagflow downfield. I think this is going to be Notorious Legion's possession to keep, off the post from Mitane, so it was a decent shot in the end from Nagflow, but that is the same scoreline as we saw in game number 1, Crafters. They got there in half the amount of time they did in game number 1. Again, Vertex still hasn't scored. We could be on the precipice of a complete shutout. Even Baguette Squad can go home knowing that they didn't get completely shut out.
Oh, don't make Vertex feel as bad as that. I mean, I was going to mention it if you didn't, to be quite fair, but yeah, 8-0 through 2 games.
That's rough.
For Vertex. It's just it's tough because we know that it's just not they're playing bad because Notorious Legion is making them play bad. Notorious Legion moving the ball upfield very, very well, giving Vertex a lot of things to think about. Where's the shot coming from? Is it going to come from Taz? Is it going to come from Cash? Is Mitane just going to come banging up the midfield and slam it home? There's so many options that Notorious Legion are showing, and they're not giving anything away. because Vertex, they just can't read it. And even when Vertex are getting into the offensive half of the pitch, they're just being far too predictable, and it's easy saves for Notorious Legion right now.
I tell you what as well, that was a very unique series for Notorious Legion, because Cash didn't actually have a single goal to his name. What he did do was he got the Playmaker medal. Very much a puppet master, just weaving the ways, weaving the webs for his team to climb over to get the goals required. And as I say, we are on the precipice now of a complete shutout for Team Vertex. On match point and Notorious Legion, they've got 4 minutes to save themselves, otherwise they are falling down to, I think, what was there? So they're going to be falling down to 2 and 5 Vertex.
Yeah, they will be. And on that note of a perfect sweep, I know perfect sweeps have happened in RLCS before. I'm not sure how often they've happened in rival series, but again, this may or may not be a first for at least the European rival series. It's a perfect sweep.
Of course, Notorious Legion, if they win this series, as I guess a lot of us are expecting now, they're going to go up to 4 and 3, and like I say, that is huge. Of course, Triple Trouble playing later today, but the pressure will be all on them because they will now be 2 wins away from getting out of the relegation zone as opposed to 1. They'll be hoping that Vertex does them a massive favour. Still no goal then, so fair play to Vertex. Their defense has been solid enough in the first minute and a half, but it has very much been all Notorious Legion on offense. It's all about breaking down the wall, crafters. A question of when rather than if.
Yeah, they're chapping at the door and they're trying to bring the battering ram through, but Vertex, like you said, holding up fairly well. It's just about that transition back downfield into the orange half, and that was another big opportunity. It was just Nagflow was far too far out of position. Nobody could get the pass into him, and again, they just find themselves on defense far too often. And it's giving Notorious Legion a lot of space to work with.
Mid-Tane goes around the corner. Kokar out into the midfield where you'll find Cash. That's the worst person you want to give it to. And is he going to get it through here? Oh my word! Going to be hammered on home by Tars. He could see that the trajectory of the ball was getting there, but the pace was simply not good enough. And what a redirect! He used that flip to just ever so slightly get a little misdirect on it around the keeper just shy of half-time. It is 1-0 Notorious Legion. The 3-0 sweep, the perfect sweep, is just 2.5 minutes away.
It is still there on the cards. It is not the only perfect sweep we've ever had not even in European rival series. 2 seasons ago, Fadeaway, who later became AS Monaco, they swept RCD in a perfect series. But Nagflow just trying to avoid as much decimation as he possibly can, but you can see Notorious Legion are hungry for more. Here comes Cash off the top of off the box. It will not fall in his favour, and yet again, Vertex still holding on to that 1-goal deficit.
And once again, it's just such a startling reaffirmation, Craftman, of how much can change in a season. Go back 1 season. Team Ekuzulu versus Team Vertex. Vertex were the side that were known for conceding lots of goals, for being so creative in front of net. You look at Team Ekuzulu, the team that was the brick wall, but didn't have any sort of hope when it came down the other side of the pitch, with the exception of maybe Mid-Tane. Cash has been picked up, and Cash has transformed this team into something rather special. Certainly in the context of Team Ekuzulu. 1.5 minutes left. Still not completely out of the water yet. Still time for Vertex to find something. Nagflow, he's got to score! No perfect sweep for Notorious Legion. 1-goal game.
And it at least puts them back in contention for this game number 3. Nagflow just being in the right place at the right time. Coca running as much disruption as possible. And NLE were expecting that one to boom downfield, so no defenders in sight. But at least gives Vertex a chance in their first goal of this series. But look at Mid-Tane right off the kickoff, trying to put the nail in the coffin, but will not fall. Vertex defense holds up again. Oh, what a pinch.
Very nice pinch, but didn't find the intended target of Kokar. Dumain up again. Goes high off the backboard. Does he get a second touch? Yes. Nagflow lurking, but Cash gets there first. Plenty of boost to expend, and he's going to use it. Tries to get it past Coca. Ends up with Mid-Tane. Shot not going to be on target. Cash, is he aware? No, he's got to rotate back for boost. Up in the air, here he comes now with that full tank. Off the top of the box, Mid-Aim has an open net to go for, and he goes off the crossbar. And now Dumain on the counter.
Maybe it.
Is that in? Oh,
It's off the crossbar. No way that didn't go in, and it's going to go all the way back down. Oh, Vertex, what is that? What a transition upfield. Domain played that perfectly, but just the luck to have it go bouncing off the crossbar. Everyone from Vertex expecting, scrambling for that ball in the goal line. But Taz holding his cool and putting it back in the blue end, putting them 2 goals up with 30 seconds left.
Oh, you hate to see it, folks. You hate to see it. And Team Vertex, well, if that didn't put frowns on their faces, I don't know what will. Is this number 4? Yes, it is. Cash just going to get that insurance goal to make sure that it is beyond any doubt. This has been Notorious Legion's series since the kickoff, and they were going to make sure that going into the second half of this broadcast, Crafters, that they were going to be 2 wins ahead of the relegation zone.
Yeah, but let's not make any mistake here, Ira League. Vertex must feel robbed of this game. And they would have certainly expected to be going into game number 4 with at least one glimmering hope on the board, but that, like, one little bit, if the crossbar was just an inch higher, we could be talking overtime right now, but it is going to be Notorious Legion with that massive sweep. Only 1 goal allowed. And man, oh man, Notorious Legion, I think they've saved themselves from relegation, but at least puts them in with a shout of getting to the top 3.
Keep in mind the context as well here. Seeing RJM, fellow rivals trying to stave off relegation, beating Triple Trouble, still on paper for me, the team with the most quality, definitely the most top-tier experience out of the entirety of the rival series. You look at that, and especially in context of losing a 2-win lead in a series over top of the league, RCD Espanyol. Those are 2 pretty big hits in the course of one singular rival series broadcast to get over, but get over them they have. What maturity from all of those players. As I said, in terms of actual team play, awareness, communication, the overall performance, I genuinely think that that's as good as Notorious Legion has looked. As I say, there was not one point in that entire series where I thought they might lose it here. They might lose it here, because even that Vertex goal, it was well worked, yes, but it was kind of a right place, right time moment for Nagflow. Just excellent Rocket League from all 3 of those players, and they're not safe yet. I still think they've got to get 1 more win before they can be classified as God, that was so posh, classified. They've got to be classified as properly safe. But they've certainly they've done the job here massively, massively so. I was expecting this to be 3-1, and that was almost as far from a 3-1 as you could get. So close to the shutout.
Yeah, I was at least hoping for game number 4, thinking it was going to go to game 4, maybe game 5, and Vertex had a really good chance of winning that one, but the performance that they put in the first couple of games and Notorious Legion were just all over them. It's so sad to see from Vertex, because we know they have the skill, and maybe that series confirms their relegation. I don't, obviously mathematically they're still in
Not mathematically, but
they're
let's
not
put it
mathematically
this way.
out, but in a sense, you can kind of see them not staying up this time around.
They've got We Dem Girls and Team BDS as their final 2 games of the season.
That's not a good
That's
run.
not a great run.
But at the same time, the run-in for Notorious Legion, that's Servette and Triple Trouble, 2 teams that are still below them in the standings.
Yes,
so
yeah.
they can still get 2 wins. I mean, you still rate Triple Trouble as being a big match for them, and I think that's going to be, is that next week? Yeah, that is next week, right here on this stream as well.
Yeah, so there's plenty. I think there are still some bits of hope for Notorious Legion, or not Notorious Legion, sorry, for Team Vertex. This was just one of those days where Notorious Legion came out and they got the job done so well. I do think they're still going to survive. I think that they're looking better and better as the season goes on. My major worry, if I'm Notorious Legion or if I'm a Notorious Legion fan, is are you going to be able to keep Cash beyond this season? Because quite frankly, I mean, he was the star of the show.
Definitely, and I fully agree with you. He's going to be on the radar for a lot of RLCS teams going into Season 10. Or maybe even if Notorious Legion somehow have a miracle run here and go to the promotion playoffs and then somehow get promoted as well, they could still very well stick together. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not going to be long until we see Cash in the RLCS.
All right, we have 2 more series coming up for you today, folks. Big series as Team BDS looks to cement their promotion hopes with RJM, of course, fresh off winning so comfortably against Triple Trouble. Should be a fascinating one. And what about this? 2 of the promotion favorites going into this season, battling to basically stay as far away from the relegation zone as possible. Triple Trouble need to win this, otherwise they are in that zone for another week. We Dem Girls will have just seen Notorious Legion win so comfortably against Vertex. If they want to survive too, they got to win it as well. Everyone needs to win at this point. It is very much crunch time, and I'm looking forward to series crafters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the next one, BDS versus RGM, because BDS, if they were to win this one, and then they have their game next week against RCD, if they win that, they go top and are in that auto-promotion spot. So BDS, a massive game coming up for them in terms of standings.
All right, that is it from myself and Crafters. When the stream returns from the break, we're going to hand you over back to Jam, but also we're going to bring in Eternal J and Digital Bacon to take you through the rest of this Bumper B stream broadcast. You do not want to miss it. Stay where you are.